Seems that every couple years, someone comes along and tries to predict the end of the world. We see the billboards go up. The world is going to end on October 13, 2012. Nope, we got it wrong. It's actually November 15. Nope, didn't happen. We misinterpreted it. It's going to be next year. It's going to be this time. It's going to be another time. And it's not just common to our own age right now. People have been predicting the end of the world and the second coming of Christ since the beginning. I don't know what's wrong with us, that we just want this all to be over so soon. But every age finds a reason to say, this is the last age. Every age listens to these words of Christ and says, yeah, things are that bad. Things are that dark. Things are that sad. Things are that tumultuous. Surely this is the last age. Or the number of the calendar rolls over to a nice round number or a significant date. This must be the last age. And everyone predicts the end of time. But Jesus himself says today, no one, not even the Son of God, knows when that time is going to be. So why do we keep looking? Why do we keep digging into that, trying to find it? What we hear today is Jesus encouraging his disciples instead to look right into the present moment. This generation will not pass away until all of these things have come to pass. And when you notice these things happening, know that the Son of Man is already standing at the gate. In other words, the time of Jesus' second coming is today. The time of the end is in the present moment. It is now. And the reason I say that with great confidence is that the only time anything ever happens is right now. There is no other time. There is only the present. The present moment is all we have. And you and I always live in the present moment. The past is gone and done. And the future has yet to happen. The only time we have to live and do anything, the only time we ever experience anything, is in the present moment. It's always a now moment. When something joyful happens to you, you don't experience that joy in the past. You experience it right now. It's happening now. It makes me joyful. When tragedy strikes, it happens in a moment and in an instant, and it is in that now moment when we go through that ordeal. When you die, you will die not at some future date. You will, at that moment, say, now is the time for me to cross over into the kingdom. It will be a present, now moment. Which means this moment, right now, is the most important moment we have. This is the moment when Christ meets us. This is the moment when our eternity is made real. Because this is the only moment that is truly real. If we live in the past, we live in danger. Because the past often locks us away in unchangeable consequences. Things that have happened in the past, I no longer have control over. There's not a decision that I can make that changes the past. And so if something bad happened, I can't change that. I can't make that different today. I can't go and undo that. And so sometimes what happens is when we live in the past, we live in a place of despair because there's nothing we can do. Maybe you were hurt by someone else's sin. Maybe you found yourself making a grievous mistake that affected people's lives and changed them forever. Maybe something bad happened in your life that is haunting you even to today. And when we hold on to that and live in the past, it grips us in despair because there's nothing we can do. we can never really be healed. We can never really be forgiven. We can never really get over that. And so we live in that place that surely God can't forgive me. I can't forgive me. How can I be healed? And so on and so forth. The despair locks us away. But on the opposite end of that spectrum is living in the future. When we live not today, but always for something else to come. Things will be better when. It's going to all change then. Everything will be different when these circumstances happen, or so on and so forth. And we begin kind of living towards this imaginary thing in the future. It's down the road sometimes. So we don't ever really experience happiness today, because I'll be happy in the future. If we ever get to the future, it's always in the future. And what living in the future does is it, as opposed to despair, it moves us into presumption. That we presume that we have all this time. And we presume that we're going to do all of these things. But we never really do we? If I knew that the end of the world was going to happen in July of 2020, well, I've got at least till June of 2020 before I really need to get my act together. I really don't start living a Christian life now because I'm living for something in the future that doesn't exist. And so we tell ourselves, oh, I've got all kinds of time before I really need to go to confession. I've got all kinds of time before I really need to reconcile with someone or forgive someone. I've got plenty of time before I need to really buckle down and start praying and developing a relationship with God. Or I've got lots of time before I really need to be charitable. I'll do it later. There's always a later. And again, we never live today. What Jesus calls us to is out of the vices of despair and presumption and into the virtue that is hope. You and I live in a present moment, and in the present, hope is alive. Hope is today. We have hope today, an expected hope of what Jesus is doing, because he is at the door. He is right there. And we hope, even though we don't see him, we hope with expectation that he is there. And it is this hope that allows us to live in the present moment. Because it's this moment when I know I can encounter him. I can encounter him right now in the forgiveness of sins. I can encounter him right now in the gift of charity. I can encounter him right now in prayer. The present moment is the place where we encounter God. This generation will not pass away. I am already at the door. The present moment is now. This is the moment that matters. And so it behooves us, I think, to picture our souls and ask ourselves this one question. Is my soul, as it is in the present moment, ready for eternity? If this was where my soul existed for the rest of eternity, for all of eternity, am I in the place that I can call heaven? That's what we have to ask ourselves. And if I'm not, if there are past sins that I have never forgiven in someone else's life, or sins in my own life that I have not had forgiven, then that soul is not ready. If that soul has not been charitable in the present age, if it is not open in love and mercy, then that soul is not ready. That soul is locked in a place of eternity that is not yet Christ. That's why the present moment matters so much. It doesn't matter what we did necessarily last week, 2 years ago, whatever. It matters where I am today. And do I have unreconciled things? Do I have love that flows freely right now? These are the things that are of eternity. And this is what we've come to God for every present moment. Every day is the opportunity to meet God. Every day is the opportunity to have sin forgiven. Every day is the opportunity to show generous, active love. Every day is a day to live in hope for the eternity, that I am already in heaven, so that when I am called from this present moment into eternity, my soul is ready. As you and I hear then the words of our Savior, pay attention to the fig tree, he says. Look and see what's happening right now. See what fruits are alive in our hearts and what is withered right now. And this is the moment to make the change, and this is the moment to act upon it. Don't wait another week. Don't wait another month, because Jesus meets us right now. And when that last day comes, the day of which we know not, all we will say is, it's happening now. Am I ready for this now to become eternal? This is our question, and this is the hope in which we live.